Some 700 years after it was written, La Commedia, commonly known as the Divine Comedy, remains one of the touchstones of world literature. Composed by the medieval Florentine poet and scholar Dante Alighieri, it recounts, in vernacular Italian, his imagined journey through the afterlife.
The poem's three sections tell of Dante's journey down through the subterranean circles of hell, up the mountain of purgatory, and ultimately into the celestial realm of paradise. With the help of two successive guides, firstly the ancient Roman poet Virgil, and secondly Dante's platonic love Beatrice, he learns about the dark consequences and heavenly rewards of the moral choices that we make during our lives.
As well as a Christian exploration of morality, free will and faith, the poem is a scathing assessment of the civic culture of Florence, Dante's birthplace, from which he was exiled for political reasons in 1302. It circulated widely in manuscript and then in print, to both acclaim and controversy. Some of the individuals named in the poem were Dante's contemporaries, very much alive at the time he wrote of their fates.
Artists have been inspired by the rich visual possibilities of Dante's text since it first appeared. More than 400 illustrated manuscript copies of the poem survive from the 14th century alone.
This year, the world is commemorating the 700th anniversary of Dante's death in 1321, and we thought it was the perfect opportunity to showcase a few of the illustrated editions of Dante's poem in the State Library's collection, which date from the early 16th century through to the present day.
The oldest edition in the SLV collection was published in 1506 in Florence by Filippo di Giunta. It was produced in a small format known as octavo, made to be easily portable. Printers had an important role in shaping the reception of Dante's poem. For example, the poem was originally just called simply the Comedy. The word divine was added by the printer Gabriele Giolito in a 1555 edition published in Venice, and it quickly became part of the standard title of the work. Filippo di Giunta's 1506 edition included a commentary by the Florentine mathematician Antonio di Tuccio Manetti about the location, form, and dimensions of hell. Its woodcut illustrations showing cross-sections of hell, with its famous circles, and maps showing the location of Mount Purgatory, were the very first topographical images to accompany Dante's poem, and they were an innovation that was then widely copied in subsequent editions by other printers. A wonderful edition of Hell, illustrated by the French artist Gustave Doré, uses Henry Francis Carey's 1804 English translation. Doré's dramatic images of Dante's journey have become some of the best known of the modern era. Doré worked in the medium of wood engraving. He very effectively used the texture of the woodblock and the Italian tradition of high contrast chiaroscuro, or light and dark, to evoke the grim and smoky horrors endured by those in hell. Famously, Dante adopted the idea of contrapasso, meaning suffer the opposite, for the punishment of the souls in hell. For example, those guilty of simony, which is profiting from spiritual matters, are buried head downwards while their feet burn. This punishment is an inversion of the sacrament of baptism, with the hole as the inverted font and the fire replacing holy water.
The library was very excited recently to acquire a copy of Tom Phillips' Inferno, his 1983 artist book featuring 139 illustrations, as well as his own translation of the first part of Dante's poem. And this acquisition was made possible by the generous support of donors Margot Costanzo and Chris Arnold. With Inferno, Phillips strove to emulate the sheer breadth of Dante's poem, drawing upon everything from Greek mythology to the Berlin Wall to contemporary graffiti. Phillips proves himself omnivorous in the way that he ranges across the entire history of art, translating Dante's text into our everyday visual language. His edition of Inferno has rightly been called one of the most important artist books of the 20th century.